Guys, welcome back to the Glory Living channel. My name is Hannah, and today we are going to be doing something fun and something that I've been waiting to do. I am going to be potting up some of my seedlings. I want to get them into bigger pots and get them maybe more situated so that they're easier to move around, easier to shift around, easier to water, and just get them ready to get bigger and hopefully even a little bit faster. If you're wondering when you are supposed to pot up your plants, that is when you look at the leaves. These round leaves are what pop out of the seed originally, but these other more unique leaves that you see, these are the actual tomato plant leaves. These are called the true leaves, and these are going to be a sign of knowing it's time to pot up your plant. These are kind of a universal looking leaf that pop out of the seed as they germinate, but the second set of leaves are called the true leaves. And as you can see, these are actually the shape of a tomato plant's leaves. Once you have two sets, that's when you know it is definitely time to put them into a bigger pot. If you do it too soon, they might be a little weak, it might be a little traumatic for them. I don't think that us doing it right now with only one set is really going to hurt them. They're getting big, they're getting strong, and I just think they'll also do better in the bigger pots. So we're gonna move them up to a little bit bigger pot, and that'll just help me kind of get a good understanding of where I'm at, what I have, and if I need to reseed any of my plants. I'll be moving up to a 2.5 by 2.5 inch pot today, and what I'm also going to be doing is making a good soil for them in those pots. I started with a seed starting mix in my cells, but I've decided to move on to our potting soil. I had some extra already from another project that I'd been working on with the strawberries and a fig plant that I got a great deal on, and so I had another bag and I decided I'm going to use some of that. And the advantage of using potting soil over the seed starting mix is that it has nutrients in it, more nutrients than the seed starting mix does. Seed starting mix is really just a very fluffy medium that is easy for the seeds to poke through. But the potting soil is going to come with nutrients because this is the type of soil you'd buy if you're going to put an established plant in a pot. It needs to be fed. So it already has some good just compost, fertilizer, nutrients, whatever in it so that your plant can be fed. So I'm going to use that for my seedlings and it won't overwhelm them. So I might mix it as well with some seed starting mix just so it's still a very light and fluffy mix, but I'm also going to sift this first. That is a very, very crucial part of using a potting soil when you're using it with seedlings. It can be a mistake to think that this is really just a fine soil and it's easy to just ignore some of the big chunks that are in there. But you know what, guys, there's a lot of mulch and wood chips in these potting soil mixes, and you don't see it until you start sifting it and realizing, yeah, there's a lot that's in there. And you do not want your seedling bumping into that or having a hard time establishing roots or poking through the top. So anytime you're using a potting soil with seedlings, you're going to need to sift it. I created this video showing how to make the sifter that I'm using right now. It's very simple, it's very easy, and it's really affordable to make, and it's multi-purpose. You can use it for sifting your soil, and you can also use it for curing and drying things like garlic and onions, and you can also use it for saving seeds if you want to dry out things like beans to save their seeds. So these are great to have around. But anyways, I'm sifting our soil, and this will make a better, finer soil for our seedlings that'll just help them be healthier and stronger and not have to fight against all of these wood chips. So you can see these wood chips that are left on top. I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's see what we've got inside here. No big chips in there, and that is going to be absolutely perfect for our potting soil. So way better, and it'll just make our seedlings much happier. Okay, so don't mind the cattail here. This is just a neighborhood cat who is pretty much a dog hanging out here. So, okay, I have my seedlings behind me a little bit in the shade. I am going to move them probably more into the shade when I do a few more. I'm just gonna let them do them really fast here if he'll let me, and it won't take very long, but I kind of have them in a little bit more shade of an area because they're not hardened off, and that would be really rough on them being in the beating sun. Even though it's only in the 50s today, they're just not used to that. So I am going to get our sifted soil over here, and I'm gonna start putting them into our 2.5 inch pots, which I have labeled. So I have them labeled with just painter's tape, and this is just regular basil. And right now I'm gonna be doing my herbs. So I have rosemary, thyme, dill, basil, oregano. I'm going to get our sifted soil over here and start putting them in our 2.5 inch pots.
And these are a great size for seedlings, and they'll be able to stay in here until I put them in the ground. Okay, so as I said, I've got my sifted potting soil here, and I am going to move them up. I was going to mix them with seed starting, but for these ones I'll just do my potting soil for ease. And I'm going to put a little bit of this in here and fill it up pretty good. I don't want it filled up all the way, and I'm going to pop some of these out of their cells. Getting these out is easier when there's a little bit of moisture, and I'll show you why, because the soil is going to stick together more in one chunk. And so I'm just going to squeeze the bottom of this cell and just kind of start to poke it out. I've got a little seedling here, and I'm going to put it into my potting mix. Put a little more on top here, and they are going to be good to go. Now, when putting your plants in, you don't want to put them so deep that they are like buried underneath there, but you want to put them the same level at which they were. When you're burying, though, a tomato in the ground, the great thing about tomatoes that make them special is actually all the little fuzzy, little fur, like tiny little like hairs that are on their stem. Those actually will become roots if in contact with soil. So when you're putting them in the ground in the garden, you want to put them even deeper, and they will get a really deep root system, which will make them a stronger, healthier plant. So we'll talk about that later when it's time to actually plant in the garden, but it's good to know even when you're potting in your tomatoes that you're not going to go too deep with those. Now, it might affect how the actual little pot, but what I'm saying is you won't hurt it, it's not going to make it rot, because those will actually turn into roots in your soil. So something to remember when you put them in the actual garden, that to put them a little bit deeper, that way they'll have a bigger root system. It may seem silly to you, but this is actually pretty traumatic for these little plants, and what you want to do is get them watered as soon as possible. A nice gentle watering after they've been moved into their new pots, because it's going to make them kind of get more accustomed, be able to start getting a drink, have to be dramatically moved, and then be very dry. So make sure that they get a good watering after you've transplanted them, and that will help them also kind of settle in to their new pot. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for a few tips and just a quick little 101 on potting up your plants. It's super simple, super easy, and something you're definitely going to want to know if you're starting them in those small cells. So guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with your friends and your family. And as always, please subscribe to the channel. It's really the best way to support us in creating this content for you, and hopefully we are making gardening less intimidating and giving you some tips and tricks along the way that are practical, because anybody can grow their own food. If I could do it, you can totally do it. So thank you guys so much, and until next time, we'll see you soon.